What's up, Taiwan? I'm Tiffany Wong with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. A delegation of U.S. senators has just wrapped up a visit to Taiwan, their final stop on a tour of Indo-Pacific allies. Despite Beijing's objections, lawmakers on both sides are voicing support for closer ties. U.S. Senate Armed Services Committee Chair Roger Wicker and Senator Deb Fischer conclude a whirlwind trip to Taiwan. Over the two-day visit, the pair of Taiwan advocates talked about Taiwan's security and deterrence with Taiwan's president and other top policymakers.
One of the reasons that Senator Fischer and I came is not only to learn and listen and find out where our friends in Taiwan stand on so many issues, but also to send a firm and strong message of friendship and determination that this country is separate and free and entitled to make its own decision. We're separated by a great distance, but we are united by the principles that have kept the Taiwanese people and the American people free and independent for years and years and years.
The meeting comes ahead of Senate debates on the National Defense Authorization Act, which Wicker says will include provisions on Taiwan. Taiwan's Deputy Foreign Minister also thanked Wicker and Fischer, who also serves on the Armed Services Committee, for their dedication to Taiwan.
Their leadership has been indispensable in advancing numerous bills and statements in support of Taiwan and our bilateral relations. Their presence sends a strong and a clear message that the U.S. Congress will continue to support a free, secure, and prosperous Taiwan.
On Friday, President Lai Ching-te praised the visit as a display of the U.S. and Taiwan's deep democratic partnership. But their visit hasn't gone unnoticed by China, which views foreign delegations to Taiwan as an insult to the One China principle.
中方一贯坚决反对美台开展任何形式的官方往来。美国会议员窜台，严重违反一个中国原则和中美3个联合公报。 损害中方主权和领土完整，向台独分裂势力发出严重错误信号。
The senators' visit came as part of a wider Indo-Pacific tour, underscoring Taiwan's place at the heart of regional security and Washington's stake in it. Joseph Wu and Tiffany Wong for TaiwanPlus. China has sharply increased spending on military drills in the Taiwan Strait, according to Taiwan government research cited by Reuters. The findings show China spent more than $21 billion on the drills in 2024. That's up 40% from the previous year, covering everything from maintenance and repairs to salaries. The report also says Chinese military flights in the Strait rose 30%, while naval sailings jumped 20%. Neither Beijing nor Taipei has confirmed the figures, but the buildup has fueled concern in Washington and across the region. China claims Taiwan as its own and has not ruled out using force to take it. Most of U.S. President Donald Trump's so-called Liberation Day tariffs are not legal, according to a new ruling from the U.S. Court of Appeals. The court found that Trump's use of emergency powers to impose the tariffs does not give him the authority to levy taxes, which includes those tariffs. The court decided to leave the tariffs in place through October 14th, giving the Supreme Court time to take up this case. It's a major setback for one of the U.S. president's key policies. Trump swiftly condemned the ruling on social media, saying that all tariffs remain in place, and if removed, it would, quote, destroy the United States of America. For more on what this court case means for the future of U.S. reciprocal tariffs and for Taiwan, Chris Gorin spoke to U.S. trade lawyer James Ransdell, a partner at Cassidy Levy Kent.
So, James, the U.S. Appeals Court has ruled large parts of Trump's reciprocal tariffs unlawful. For the non-lawyers watching, what exactly did the court say and which tariffs are affected?
So the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit was taking up the same set of tariffs that the U.S. Court of International Trade ruled was unlawful here a few months back. Those are the reciprocal tariffs, as well as the set of so-called fentanyl tariffs, which apply to Mexico, Canada, and China. There were some more recent tariffs introduced on India and on Brazil. It doesn't extend to the more recent tariff actions, and the Federal Circuit's holding was that at least in the view of the majority, so 7 out of 4 of the full court, that those tariffs were unlawful. Ultimately, at this point, it's looking extremely likely that the Supreme Court is going to take this up.
Tariffs have been one of U.S. President Donald Trump's most powerful foreign policy tools. If the Supreme Court takes this case, when might we actually learn whether or not the president has this authority?
Since they've given an October 14th deadline, it seems likely that the Supreme Court would take it up within the next term, which means, in sort of a common case, it's about a 9-month time frame. It could be faster. It could be 3 months faster. It could be 3 months slower. And it varies a lot within that time frame.
Trump administration officials say that even if this authority is struck down, they have other legal tools to impose tariffs. Are they right? Are there other easy legal workarounds?
The administration does have options. They have a gap filler option under Section 122. It's time-bound, 150 days. It's capped at 15%. But they could do it in order to buy themselves time to act under other tariff authorities, like Section 301, which is what the administration has relied on with respect to the tariffs on China, related intellectual property, and that sort of thing. It would just take them some time. They'd have to go through a process. Whether or not these specific tariffs disappear, I wouldn't anticipate tariffs as a whole disappearing. There's just several different options that the administration has in terms of how they want to reach a very similar policy result.
Taiwan has been negotiating a deal with Washington to lower its tariff level, and everyone has been waiting for the announcement of special tariffs on Taiwan's most valuable export, semiconductors. Now, those depend on a Commerce Department investigation known as Section 232 that could be out any day now. Would this case have any effect on those special semiconductor tariffs?
No, it wouldn't. It might have an effect on the negotiating dynamic. We've seen that Taipei is trying to negotiate, as many other countries have done, sort of collectively, the reciprocal tariff level, as well as the level with respect to the Section 232 investigations that they care about, which includes, obviously, semiconductors. And so this opinion isn't going to have any direct effect on those at all. But it might recolor the sort of negotiating dynamic between the two parties.
That was U.S. trade lawyer James Ranzil joining from Washington, D.C. South Korean memory chip makers Samsung and SK Hynix will now need U.S. licenses to get American equipment for their factories in China after the Commerce Department revoked earlier exemptions. Licenses may still be granted for existing plants, but Washington says upgrades and new projects won't be approved. The move is part of U.S. efforts to curb China's chip ambitions. In response, Chinese firms are racing to build their own supply chains, with the Wall Street Journal reporting Alibaba recently developed a new homegrown AI chip. Earlier models of those chips were produced by Taiwan's TSMC. At least 3 people are dead and 5 more are injured after a fire erupted at a government building in Indonesia amid nationwide protests over lawmakers' pay. Authorities say protesters outside the building in Makassar City started the fire. Eyewitness videos show demonstrators throwing flaming projectiles at buildings across the country. Protests intensified after a man was struck and killed by a police vehicle in the nation's capital, Jakarta, on Thursday night. Grapplers from around Taiwan are in Danshui, New Taipei, for the 10th Tap Out Island event. About 40 local and international jiu-jitsu faced off in both traditional gi and no-gi matches. Teams from Taipei's Cobra Kai Yi, Taiwan BJJ, and 10th Planet were joined by fighters from Kaohsiung and Taichung. The host, AZ Fight Club, says the turnout may be small, but it shows real momentum for the sport in Taiwan. Tap Out Island is currently the only event series here using alternative rules, with a focus on submission-only grappling that generally means the fight doesn't end until someone taps out. Taiwan's homegrown comic scene is stepping into the global spotlight with a new exhibition in Tokyo. As Ting Ye reports, the art form not only entertains, it also tells the story of Taiwan's long search for identity.
Comics. Not only entertainment, but a way for people to reflect on society through time. Illustrated prints have been around in Taiwan from as early as the 19th century. But it wasn't until Japanese colonial rule that comics began to take shape, spreading through magazines and newspapers. Until 1949, when the Chinese Nationalist Party, or KMT, fled to Taiwan, and under martial law worked to remove all Japanese influence. Strict censorship required every strip to undergo review, and the industry nearly died.
那在那么严格的或者是自由新政的审查制度之下，能够进来并且很方便的能够快速流通的，其实就是盗版漫画。那其实这一代的人大部分都是看日本盗版漫画成长的，所以他们的漫画语言里面其实也有很重的日本漫画的成分。
But the KMT also used comics for anti-communist propaganda, sparking a wave of publications across the island. And a new generation of comic artists try to differentiate themselves from the Japanese style, some by blending traditional Chinese elements into original comics.
他们还有非常重的那一种，我们是中华文化儿女，我们复兴中华文化或者是传承历史文化的责任是在我们身上。那所以以中国历史或者是中华式的中华风，我们现在叫中华风的这种东西。来标榜所谓的台湾漫画，其实对当时的创作者或读者来说是非常理所当然的事情。
After martial law ended, Taiwanese comics regained their freedom. Stories are now rooted in Taiwan, and the launch of the Creative Comic Collection, or CCC, gave the movement new momentum.
原本它的目的可能是为了要把台湾的文史，然后这些典藏品，然后用一个什么样子故事行销的方式来推广出去，这样子。那这跟当时的台湾的文史本土的研究开始变多有很大的关系。
The collection pairs vibrant comics with newly digitalized historical archives, using Taiwan's past to tell stories about its culture and identity. The mix of creative freedom and accessible resources has fueled a new wave of Taiwanese comics, many exploring local themes and diverse social issues.
台湾的漫画作品来讲的话，我觉得他们优势当然是一个是在它的一个多元性。我们在性别议题，然后在这种性别平权相关的这种题目的创作非常非常的多，然后也突破性很大。这个跟日韩、中国等等，他们都可能会有一些各自的包袱来讲的话，我觉得是一个蛮突出的地方。
Many Taiwanese comics have now been translated into multiple languages, and they're being welcomed abroad. And just like Taiwan's journey, the industry is turning challenges into stories, and stories into identity. Andy Xue, Alec McDonald, and Ting Ye for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, let's take a look at the competitors starting the Mont Blanc Ultra Trail, which began in the rain in France. I'm Tiffany Wong. Take care and see you next time.
Thank you for sharing our passion for food and Taiwan. Veggie Island explores the vibrant world of plant-based cuisine. while Taiwan on the Rocks uncovers the stories and craftsmanship behind every sip.
Have you ever tried Taiwanese beer?
Are you ready to taste even more of Taiwan?
In the face of adversity, the power of truth.
A roadmap for a just and open world, charted by the freest country in Asia.
Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
TaiwanPlus News, a voice of freedom in Asia.